Joe and Gomomon officially joined the Megas Club in the 60th episode of the 2020 Digimon Adventure reboot, and while the evolution sequence isn't beating the War Greymon or Metal Garurumon evolution, Vikemon's fight scene is one of the best Mega level battles this show has ever featured. Welcome to my episode 60 review. As far as we know, we're 6 episodes away from the end of Digimon Adventure 2020, but with Digimon Ghost Game plus the 02 movie, games, vital bracelets, and more, the Digimon conversations are not stopping anytime soon. So if you're into all that, go ahead and subscribe. It's my birthday this week and we're pretty close to 13,000 subscribers, only a few hundred away. So if this is your second or third Digino video and you haven't subscribed yet, all I want for my birthday this year is for you to subscribe. That's my wish. Okay, time for the episode review. This week sees us reunite with Joe and Gomomon as well as their entire crew involving Nanimon, Shogun, Gekumon, Kabukimon, etc. It's really cool seeing them stick together. It makes me think of that video I made, the secondary partners video, and makes me want to do a full team video for each kid, because Joe basically has like a 6-mon team at this point, and so does Mimi, who is kind of the surprise treat this week. I don't know if I just missed this in the previews or if I wasn't looking or if they hit it, but I had no idea Mimi and her crew would be part of this episode, and this was a total delight. I've been saying for months that Mimi and Joe are my favorites in the new 2020 version of Digimon, and seeing them reunite alongside their unique Digimon squads was so excellent. Mimi is supervising a class trip with the students of Babamon's school via Blimpmon, whose design is so similar to Gardramon that it feels like an Easter egg / callback to that relationship Mimi once had, but maybe that's just me. And Mimi and Joe's groups butting heads is really great, and Palmon cracking the whip is extremely good. So is Bancho Mamemon calling Mimi Mimimon Senpai, and Joe just realizing like there's so many layers to that he clearly missed. It turns out since the last time we saw Joe and his crew, the onsen have dried up, and Kabukimon shared a rumor about this warm land south of their area, which leads them through that tundra at the start of the episode, kind of looking for a new place to settle. Blimpmon will take them the rest of the way until Olegmon's band of pirates attacks, asks for their leader, and Mimi defers to Joe, making him identify as the leader when he kind of freezes up. This Captain Joe bit with Mimi doing like a ventriloquist act with Joe is so good. You could say Joe is being cowardly here, but I really love this because it feels like Mimi is just bringing out the Joe she knows is there underneath the surface. It's like Joe will get there, he just needs a second to catch up and turn on Joe mode that everyone knows and relies on, and Mimi's just kind of kickstarting the engines. After a short battle, Shogun, Gekumon, Joe, and Gomomon are thrown off the blimp. They find themselves captured in Olegmon's ship. Joe has this line I like, quote, "We need to prove that we're not just always being rescued." It was a good line from Joe in my opinion. We get an opportunity to talk to Goapamon, who is supposed to stop Joe and Gomomon but is way too weak and exhausted, and he says, "The island where we used to live, the ocean was contaminated, our food started to disappear, our chief loaded the little supply we had left and set sail, taking all of us. He said, I promise to lead you to a place where we can all survive." Clearly Olegmon is not that different from Joe. It's worth noting the island looked like it had rocks floating up into the sky. I wonder if there's some element of the digital world being transferred into the human world, not just human world appliances being transferred into the digital world like we've seen so far, but maybe it didn't matter, it was just background lore. I guess we'll see soon. So Joe emerges onto the captain's deck and challenges Olegmon to a duel to declare who is the superior leader. He has never looked cooler. I wish he didn't take off the jacket here, he looked so sick. This is an amazing looking fight. Even in the Zudomon phase pre-Vikemon, the animation is fantastic and honestly probably the best Zudomon has ever looked in the last 21 years. I know some of you might leave the episode saying, you know, the evolution animation wasn't as good as you'd hoped, but the way I see it, I think Base Digimon said this last week, so maybe I'm just taking his thoughts on Hercules Kabuterimon, but keep in mind the choreography before and after the transformation was great. Realistically, if we can have a nice transformation or a nice fight, I'd prefer the nice fight. It's the opposite of the Crescarurumon debut. If you remember how good that transformation looked before the fight devolved into a bit of a super quick kind of slideshow situation that was over before we knew it. Zudomon is brutally downed after what was initially a really impressive showing. Joe manages to stand back up though, and it motivates Zudomon to do the same. He says Joe can unleash enormous power if it's for someone else. I really love this line. I've always seen it since we first met. If I'm with Joe, I'm sure I can unleash an even bigger power. Then we get our Vikemon transformation. Again, nothing wrong with it, but it was a little short, and in my opinion, it was kind of hiding its visuals. I feel like the transformation was happening out of frame, and I was just catching bits and pieces of it. But again, reminder that this fight is so good looking. Pure Dragon Ball Z hype levels. Olegmon and Vikemon rushing each other is so awesome, and this whole sequence is really satisfying. We win, Joe and Vikemon gently and kindly remind Olegmon that Joe is now the new leader of this whole group, including him, and we see Joe's act of kindness where he tugs the pirate ship via Blipmon towards the new land that both parties were trying to find. And the conclusion is really sweet that the land they're both seeking can work for both parties, both Joe's crew and the pirates. Now Joe is not just a leader, but Shogun and Lord and God King and just the best. He's the best character. And then we have Joe's crest pop the same way Mimi's did a few weeks ago, and just then Taichi and Agumon show up. Quote, as usual, we are in the middle of going around everywhere. Great episode in my opinion. There is this feeling, at least for me, that the series had the wind knocked out of its sail with the announcement of Digimon Ghost Game, basically 99% solidifying that we're calling it quits with adventure in 6 weeks. But what we got in this was really stellar. The inclusion of Mimi in a Joe episode was genius. Just the two best characters in my opinion, bouncing off each other and telling jokes, and of course their two crews butting heads. So much to love in this episode. Next week we'll be seeing TK get his crest activated, at least that's what makes sense, and then in theory there will be 5 episodes setting up and wrapping up some kind of final confrontation with Argamon and its creators. I would say don't expect Seraphimon next week, same way we didn't get Ophanimon. Those two angels will probably show up in the final battle. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought of this week's episode and what you're thinking will happen in the final 5 episodes. Again, if you haven't subscribed yet, I know I always feel weird asking for subs, but yeah, I'm just gonna say that birthday gift analogy again. All I want for my birthday is to hit 13K subs. It sounds so stupid. So let's make it happen this week. Until next week, take it easy and I'll see you in the next video.